Okay, here's the notes. Notes real quick. Again, we did some of these on Friday, but some people either weren't here or didn't really get it that good, so I'm going to do this quick little video. Factor, you're going to factor this polynomial and you're going to find all zeros, so there's two things to do. Factor and then find all zeros. And 1 0 has been given. One of the zeros has been given. That's this one right here. This one's your zero, or what's another way for a zero? Another word for a zero is a root, or they call them solutions, or they call them x-intercepts. The point is, if this is a zero, which is x minus 2, x equals to negative 2, right? X equals to negative 2. Then that means the zero, or the parentheses, is what? X plus 2, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to divide. You're going to divide to break this down. I know if this is to the power of 3, it's going to be what? 3 parentheses. But essentially, we already have one of them, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to divide the polynomial by the given factor to break it down. And then you're able to find the last two. So divide the 3x cubed plus 17x squared plus 28x plus 12 divided by the x plus 2, the given 0. And when you do this long division, which I'm just going to do real quickly, you'll get 3x squared, 3x cubed, plus 6x squared. Change the signs because you subtract. That'll be 11x squared left over. Is that right? We'll drop the next one and continue the process. So that's plus 11. Plus 11x, that'll give you 11x squared. Plus 22x. Subtract or change the signs. That'll give you 6x. And then drop the next one, or this last one here. And that's going to be plus 6. And this is how you know, this is an indicator here that you're doing it right, because I can see that when I subtract, you're going to get remainder 0. So what have you just figured out? You figured out right now that if this, when divided by this, gives you exactly this, that means that what? Well, right now, this polynomial, the 3x cubed plus 17x squared plus 20x, is now going to look like x plus 2 times the 3x squared plus 11x plus 6, yeah? If I multiply these two, it gives me this, right? I don't want to multiply them, I'll go back and get this. Why would you go backwards? We're actually trying to factor it out, write it out as a product of its factors. So I already have this factor. The question is, well, how do you, this last piece here, so you're going to get it eventually to the point where it's quadratic. Now this is factorable. And this is what we were doing last week about knowing how to factor these with a leading coefficient here. So you still have the x plus 2, and this will factor out into what? 2. And you got to figure out what gives you this. What gives you the 3x squared plus 11x plus 6? Well, I know it's going to be 3x and x for sure to guarantee the front. And the 6 can be 1 times 6 or 3 times 2. Well, I'm just going to do it real quick. I know it's 3 and 2. It's 2 and 3, like this. And they're all plus. How do I check if that's good? Let me just do it over here. Let's see. 3x plus 2, x plus 3. I know the front 2, give me 3x squared. I know the back 2, give me the plus 6. How did I tell you to check the middle? Inside 2, outside 2. That's a plus 2x, and that's a plus 9x. Does that give you the middle 11x? Yeah. right? Yeah. So here it is. Here's part one where it says to factor it. We factored it out. We've now written it as a product of factors. That's this. This is answer number one. And what's part two? What's the second task here? Find all zeros. Find all zeros. So set each of these equal to 0. X plus 2 equal to 0. 3x plus 2 equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. Find the zeros. Well, when you do find them, I know this is going to be x equals negative 2. And I know this last one, when I move it over, it's going to be negative 3. And this one's going to be what? Negative 2/3, right? Yeah. There's the second part of the task for this problem. Once you have them factored or as a product of factors, you can easily find the zeros, right? All right, let's do this other one real quick. Again, this one has a number, this one has a number. This is your given 0. There's only one given. This is your 0 or your root. So that means that if x equals 5, if that's the 0, that means that the parentheses would have to be x minus 5 equals 0. Isn't that the factor? Yeah. So not directly is it writing it out for you. You have to know that you have to write it in its factored form. This is the root. This is a 0, but you have to write it like this. Divide. Anybody got this one, the division already? What is it? Just to save time here. 3x squared. Yeah? Did it give you remainder 0?
Yeah.
Okay, so 3x squared
plus 8x
plus 3. Okay. No, I don't think that's right. Anybody got something else?
X squared plus 8x minus 3.
Minus 3?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I knew it's not going to work with a plus. Okay, so it's minus 3? Okay, make sure you do the long division. So it should give you remainder 0. That's how you know it's right. So what does that mean? Now this polynomial, instead of being all this, now the other form you're going to write it is an equivalent form, but a factor form of f of x is equal to the product of these two, the x minus 5 times this that you just did right now. X minus 5 times this 3x squared plus 8x minus 3. Okay? But I'm telling you, this one that's left over, this quadratic will be factorable. This one will be factorable. So you have to break it down to what? The product of two other factors. And that's going to be what? Well, to guarantee the front, 3x and x. And this will have to be plus 3 minus 1. Does that give you the positive 8x? How do I check for the positive 8x? I guaranteed the front, the positive 3x squared. I guaranteed the back, which is the negative 3. When I multiply the front 2, it gives me the front. When I multiply the back 2, it gives me the back. Does everybody see the 8x?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? This will give you negative 1x, and this will give you the plus 9x. There it is. It'll add up to a positive 8x. Yeah? So that means you factored it right. All right, so this is the answer for part 1, to factor it. All right, there it is. I factored it. Now, what are going to be the zeros? Right? Set each of these equal to 0 and solve it. You should be sharp with that now. Zeros are what? If that says x minus 5, that's going to be positive 5. Oh yeah, that's the one they gave you over here, see? Yeah. And this 3x minus 1, when you set it equal to 0 and solve, you'll get positive 1/3. Yeah? And the last one, x plus 3, move it over, will be negative 3. Yeah? Yeah. So these down here with the fraction, is that the one you can't do? These, the zeros that is given, are fractions. So how do we do this? How do we handle this 0 or this root here?
You divide.
Remember, you got to put x equals 1/3. X is 1/3. The 0 is the x-intercept. The roots, the zeros, the solutions is x equals 1/3. But you have to have that equal to 0. Multiply by 3, that'll be 3x equals 1. So that's going to be 3x minus 1 equals 0. Everybody agree? If I solve 3x minus 1 equal to 0, I will get positive 1/3. Yes. So this is one of the factors, right? Again, it's to the power of 3. To the power of 3 means that I know that it's going to be at most 3 factors that are going to multiply. But one of them is already what? This one here that's given. 3x minus 1. So you're going to have to divide the polynomial by the given factor. Anybody got it already? And you gave your remainder 0? When you do the long division? Okay, I'm going to tell you what it is, just to save time. Yeah, you're going to do the long division. It's going to give you a remainder 0. It's going to be 5x squared plus 16x minus 16. Did anybody get that? 5x squared plus 16x minus 16. So what does that mean that you divided, you got remainder 0? What does that mean? You divided this into this and you got this. What does that mean? Well, that means that now this polynomial can now be looked at as the product of these two. That's going to be f of x is equal to 3x minus 1 times 5x squared plus 16x minus 16. But I'm telling you, this one will be factorable. And it's the one that has a leading coefficient. I'm going to tell you what it is. And anybody figure that one out? Well, for sure it's going to be 5x and x. Now 16 is tricky because it could be 1 times 16. Is that going to be 1 times 16? Is it going to be 2 times 8? Or is it going to be 4 times 4? Oh, here's where it gets crazy. It's going to be the 4 times 4. Yeah? So it's 4 times 4. You just got to practice with these and move the numbers around, set the signs around until you get it. So it's going to be the minus here and the plus 4 here. Does the front 2 multiply to a 5x squared? Yeah. Do the back 2 multiply to a negative 16? Yeah. I guaranteed the front. I guaranteed the back. Do you guys see how the middle comes out to a plus 16? Let's see. Multiply that. Inside 2 is negative 4x. Outside 2 is positive 20x. Everybody see it is going to be plus 16x. So it's good. All right, so this is the factored form. That's part 1, to factor it out. That's part 1, factor it out. And once you have them as factors, you can give me the zeros. Set 3x minus 1 equal to 0 and solve it. You'll get what? Positive 1/3. Put 5x minus 4 equal to 0, solve for x, and you'll get positive 4/5. And then x plus 4 equal to 0 and solve that? Come on, there's negative 4. There's your zeros. Okay, last one here. Here's the polynomial. Here's one of the zeros or one of the roots. That's x equals negative 5/2. You're not dividing the polynomial by that. That's the zero. That's the answer. That's x equals negative 5/2. How do you solve and get the factor, the part that's in the parentheses? Well, here you got to multiply by 2, so that would be 2x equals negative 5. Multiply this side by 2, multiply this side by 2. How do I know? Whatever the number is in the denominator. And then you move this over. That'll be 2x what? Plus 5 equals 0. Everybody agree that's the... That's another form of this 0, right? It's the same thing. It's just in another form. If I solve 2x plus 5, it'll give me negative 5/2. Yeah? That's what you need to divide the polynomial by. So 2x plus 5 into that polynomial. I'm just going to give you the answer to save time here, but you should already know how to do long division. Which one did they give us? They gave us the 2x plus 5. So it's going to be 3x squared minus 13x minus 10. I know it's taking you a while to do the long division, but when you do and you get it right and the remainder is 0, you'll get 13. So what does that mean? That means now it's the product of these two. The polynomial is now the product of 2x plus 5 and 3x squared minus 13x minus 10. And then I'm telling you, this one's factorable. Once you get it to quadratic, it'll be factorable. You have to factor this. I'm not doing the long division, but I'm telling you, when you do the long division, you'll get the 13x squared minus 13x minus 10. You'll get remainder 0. So now, how do you factor this? What do you get when you factor 3x squared minus 13x minus 10? For sure it's 3x, x. 3x plus 2 and x minus 5? That is correct. They will be factorable. I'm not going to put one that just stops right there in it. It's going to be factorable. It factors, correct. There it is. That's the answer for the factored form, part 1, to factor it. Show it. Show that polynomial as a product of its factors. And now the zeros. Set this one equal to 0 and solve it. Set this one equal to 0 and solve it. Set this one equal to 0 and solve it. The zeros are going to be negative 5/2. Oh yeah, that's the one they gave you. This one's going to be negative 2/3. And this one's going to be positive 5. Okay, let me stop the video here. Oh, don't tell me you did that.